you're ready.
Thank you,
See,
Mr.
our
Chairman.
clock's still on 8 o'clock. I don't know what happened to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being no preliminary matters on the AM docket. Case number 1, Eastern Liquors, 6400 Eastern Avenue, Class A, beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on September the 24th, 2019. Please come forward. 6400 Eastern Avenue.
While we wait, ladies and gentlemen, if in the event that you are before us and any fines are imposed, please, before you leave, see our staff member, Jared, in the back of the room. Do we have service on these people, Mr. Page? I assume this is someone who is, yes. All right, so our records indicate that service was made on November 6th for the hearing this morning. I don't know, you want to hold it for about a few minutes and see if they appear, and then we'll call it again.
That's fine.
Coach House Inn, 6605 Bel Air Road. Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on August the 14th, 2019. Please come forward.
Good morning. All those who are going to testify in this matter, please come forward and raise your right hands.
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
Yes.
Are one of you ladies Evelyn Clipote?
No, she isn't here.
Who are you?
I'm Carol Davis.
I didn't mean to say it that way. What is your name, ma'am, please?
I'm Carol Davis, the general manager.
Okay, you're the general manager at Coach House, and you're here to testify on behalf of Ms. Is it Clipote? Clipote?
Silipoti.
Silipoti, good.
Clipote, yeah.
We have it spelled incorrectly. Okay, I apologize. So she is charged with a violation of our rules by allowing a sale to a minor on August 14, 2019. Does she admit that happened or deny that that happened?
She admits it.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us if you know any facts about that?
This is the bartender at the time, so.
And your name, ma'am?
Joyce Greensfelder.
Okay. Ms. Greensfelder, what happened?
I wasn't feeling that great that night. I've been doing this for 30 years. And I thought they looked familiar, but it was just a mistake. I'm sorry.
Okay, but you generally card
Yes.
everyone? I mean, our records indicate that you've had this license, or Ms.
Silipoti.
Sillipo has had it since 2003, and this is the first offense. So you must be doing something right there, and I'll take your word that this was a slip. Were they cooperative with you?
Yes,
You want to state your name, please?
Detective Abraham Gatto, of Baltimore City Police Detective Police Unit.
Okay. They were cooperative?
Yes,
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
Are you doing anything differently?
Oh, yes, they've all been talked to, and we need to card everybody that comes in.
And are you TIP certified?
I'm sorry.
Certified, no.
Alcohol awareness certified?
No, she's not.
You should become
Yes.
TIP certified.
Okay.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received here this morning, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on August 14, 2019, in consideration of the very good record that this licensee has. I would impose a fine of $350, and I'd give her 30 days to pay.
Thank you very much.
The other commissioners have to rule, excuse me.
Hold on one. I too find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a sales to minors on August 14, 2019, and given that this is the first violation we've had, the licensee has had this since 2003 without incident. I concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on August 14, 2019, would concur with the imposition of a $350 fine with 30 days to pay.
Please see the gentleman in the back, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, Investigation Report, Agent Perez.
Do you want to? That's fine.
Recalling Eastern Liquors, 6400 Eastern Avenue, Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.01 Small A, sales to minors on September 24, 2019. Please come forward.
All those going to testify, please raise your right hands.
Swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
I do.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
You all been sitting here all morning. What, what happened?
We're residents of
residents.
the 6400 block Eastern Avenue.
Oh, you're not you're not involved with the license, you're not the licensee?
we're not involved.
Okay, okay. You are Mr. Singh, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's everybody raise their right hands, please.
All those who are here to testify, do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Singh, you are charged with a sale to a minor on September 24, 2019. Do you admit or deny that that occurred?
I admit.
Okay. Do you want to tell the board what happened on that occasion?
Actually, I was on the cash register and I get a gentleman who buy the liquor. I did ask him, "Are you 21?" He said, "Yes, I just turned over 21." We had good conversation. I did not check his ID, so it's my fault. And they come back and give me the ticket.
Okay, and Detective, you're going to testify as well? Were they,
Yeah, what would you like?
well, were they cooperative?
Yes, very cooperative.
Okay. Okay, and you folks are all here to testify. So who wants to speak?
I'm a resident.
You have to come up and give us your name, please. 'Cause we're on the record, that's why we.
Diana Billmeyer. And I
Miss-
just wanted to express what has happened since the liquor store came into our community, what a nuisance and all the unpleasantries that occurred. I have a typed statement and pictures to verify what we see every day.
Okay, because I have to be honest with you, we issued this license in 2016, and this is only their second violation. So
If
no-
I took pictures of every violation, I would have shoe boxes. You know, just recently, when I would voice my concerns to the community association, the police officers, and there would be some activity involvement there, you'd get a little window of maybe things are going to change, but it's not. I mean, I could tell you briefly what I see every day, every week.
You contacted the liquor board about this? Have you called 311?
We called 311 so many times.
And do you get?
They would be passed out, men would be passed out drinking on the site of the building, of this building. And I was already told by a police officer who I called, I says, "I don't know if he's alive or dead." And he said, "Oh, he's just having a siesta." Then I would tell another officer that, you know, it's seen during the day, urination, when you drink all day, you're allowed to be in a parking lot, drink, he allows it. And what happens when they drink? They urinate broad daylight. Take my daughter to 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee. Now, what does that mean doing? And the officer who I told that to, I said, "It's the wall, the orange-yellowish wall by the building." And he said, "Is it yellow because of the urination?" Well, they're taking me serious. I have pictures of traffic, double parking, their beer trucks delivery. I had Department of Transport.
I mean, they got to deliver beer.
Yeah, well, they can't block the whole street where it obstructs the traffic.
I mean, so, all right, so we got to figure this out. I think you should meet with Mr. Ockheimer, our, if you haven't already, our community liaison, because this is something, Mr. Chairman, that probably needs to have some fulsome discussion.
I brought information for Thomas Akers I was going to mail, or Andy Perez. If you could just give them to them, I'm done.
Both.
Well, at least from my standpoint, I'd prefer, if it's okay, I'd prefer that you have some, outside of this hearing, a much more fulsome conversation with our community liaison and the licensee. And, I mean, that really is why we have that role, and it's been, I think, fairly effective, and I think it could resolve some of these disputes.
Okay.
Councilman's,
And our councilman, and this is the president of our community
You
association
can
that are
speak for
here.
yourself, sir, but the letter indicates that the licensee hasn't been willing to meet with the community association. Is that the case?
That is the case.
Oh,
Councilman.
Councilman, did you want to say a few words?
Thank you. Now, I know the Community Association has repeatedly reached out to the licensee and requested his presence at the Community Association meeting. That has not happened. Could I read my letter into the record?
We'll make it a part of the record. You don't have to read it. We all have it.
Okay. So just wanted to affirm Ms. Billmeyer's statement that this liquor store has been an ongoing challenge for this community, that we have repeatedly reached out, that I personally have gone there several times and witnessed inappropriate behavior. I reached out to the liquor board. These folks have done 311s. They've done everything we ask a community to do. And at the end of my letter, what I sort of reaffirm is, in addition to suggesting a real penalty, because I think behaviors and repeated behaviors need consequences, I would also encourage the owner of the establishment to meet with the leaders of the community who are right here, which is what we've been encouraging. And so my frustration is that has not happened. These folks have done everything we asked them to do, and here we still are. And again, I do not think this is an isolated incident, the one that is referenced where there was serving to someone who was underage. This is a continued practice and remains a deep concern for the Bayview community and for me, their councilman.
Our records indicate it's the second time in 3 years. So we don't have before us a record like you indicate. But I don't understand why Mr. Singh won't meet with you. Why won't you meet with the community?
I meet all the time. And then second thing,
Well,
Wait.
let me hear from him.
and the whole thing is, if you give me a couple of minutes, the thing is, there is a 7-Eleven next door to me, and then in front of me, there is a Home Depot. Because of Home Depot, this 7-Eleven is a main point for all the labor people. If you go 6 o'clock in the morning, there are more than 100 Spanish guys for labor sitting there. All these, the contractors come there, pick up them for the labor. So this is the main thing. But everybody blame me, liquor store, because all these people get business to the 7-Eleven. The same people in the same parking lot where I am, next door, 6402, there is a check cashing. There is like 300 people coming for check cashing every Friday, Saturday, long lines. But I get targeted because it's a liquor store. This is the whole thing.
You haven't been targeted by us, and the fact is, if these folks
By the community.
if they live there, they're aware of those things as well. You need to sit down and talk with them.
I'm sorry.
I mean, that's the biggest concern. You're not speaking to the community association.
And I would just say that I don't care whether there's 100 people, I don't care what race or nationality they are. The behaviors I'm concerned about are the public urination, the public drunkenness. Sometimes there has been fights and violence. This whole thing about day laborers or people going to Home Depot isn't relevant to what I've, with my own eyes, observed outside of the liquor store, which is repeated flaunting of the law. And again, these folks have filed 311 complaints. We took it so far as I personally reached out to our liquor inspector, and they did what is cited. But again, I think this is a repeated pattern, and we have repeatedly invited the owner of the store to come and present to the community association and come up with some memorandum of understanding or agreement. He has chosen not to do so.
You have to give us your name, sir, please.
My whole name is Julio Cesar Romero, but I go by Cesar Romero. And I'm the president of the Community Association.
Which community association?
Bayview Community Association. I came to talk to Mr. Singh. We don't want to see any business closed. I also own a business in the community. But he also need to work with the community. What happened with people who own the business in the city, they just do whatever they want, and they don't care. And so, simple thing we want is I'm inviting 3 times to my community association meeting. We have once every month. And I ask him to come to, so he can talk to us, so we can have a conversation, we have communication. We explain the concern of the community. And so, I don't want to see the business closed. Simple, what I would like to see for him to keep that building clean, because there's other liquor store and they don't have all these people around. So if you see something, call 911 or call the police. We have a very good communication with the police department. We have a community outreach. We have Raul Rivera, he's our community, and Sergeant Marino. So if he needs something, I can reach out to them. And plus, we have city council, seat Cohen. But he can, sell it to minor. Another concern the neighbor has is they see a lot of bottles going from his liquor store to another house that he owns in the neighborhood. And if he's selling alcohol inside the store, that should not be allowed. So I just want you to understand, we don't want you to close your business, but I want you to work with us.
Okay.
These
So,
people live right across from him.
I understand. Is Matt here? Yeah. So the gentleman down here to my right is our community liaison person, and I'm going to instruct you all to work with him to set up a meeting, because it sounds like there are issues involving the community. You need some kind of memorandum or agreement with the community if you're going to continue to operate there. Otherwise, they're going to be here next spring when we do renewals, and we may not renew your license. And in fact, if it continues and if we have repeated offenses, we could close you down. So you don't want that. They don't want that. Today, we have not merely, but we have a second sale to minor, so we have to deal with that. But that's not as large an issue as the larger community issue. So I'm going to ask you to work with our community liaison person, and if we come back and you haven't cooperated, haven't worked things out, you're going to have much more dire consequences, I believe. Do you all have?
No, I agree with
Okay.
everything.
On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, and the admission by the licensee, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on September 24, 2019, this being the second violation since 2016. I'd impose a fine of $1,500, and I would give him 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a sales to minors on September 24, 2019. And given the testimony here today, I concur with the imposition of a $1,500 fine with 30 days to pay.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on September 24, 2019, and given the testimony, this being a second, I would concur with the imposition of a $1,500 fine.
So you folks might want to touch base with Matt, and Ms. Singh, you'll have to see the gentleman in the back, okay?
Yes, he's in.
And call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Inspector Perez. Board Exhibit 3, letter of opposition from Councilman Z. Cohen dated 11/20/2019.
Mixers, 6037 Bel Air Road, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for a violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors on August the 14th, 2019. Please come forward.
Would all those who are going to testify please raise your right hands?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do. I do.
Is Mr. Randolph or Mr. Corti here?
We are both here.
Okay. So, gentlemen, you've been charged with this sale to minor on August 14. Do you admit or deny that it occurred?
We admit.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what happened on that occasion?
We were out of town at the time. We had a bartender working that evening and got a page that this occurred. That bartender is no longer with us as a result of that infraction. But yeah, so
So how many people do you have dealing with alcohol, selling alcohol?
4.
And are they tip certified?
We are. The bartenders, one of them was, but hers expired. She's getting ready to renew it.
Yeah, I think you might,
Both the owners,
might want to
so-
make sure they do, because you've only had this license for a little over a year and a half or something, and so this is your first violation, but if you don't have qualified people there, you're going to have difficulty moving forward.
Well, I'd like to make the point, just 3 days prior to this, we had a staff meeting. 3 days, that Sunday before, had a staff meeting. We went over everything completely as far as checking IDs, not serving inebriated people, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a registered nurse, so I'm very aware of alcohol problems, especially among youth. So
Didn't take with this young lady, apparently. But
which is inexplicable because she actually had another job bartending. She had been an experienced bartender. After she was let go, she left town, so she's now in California. But yeah,
okay. Were they cooperative with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you. Do the commissioners have questions?
No questions.
Questions?
All right, on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received, including the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, on August 14, 2019. This being the first violation, I'd impose a $350 fine and give them 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on August 14, 2019, and I concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on August 14, 2019, and would concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
So please see the gentleman in the back. Okay.
Thank you.
Can I have you three identify yourselves for the record?
Alan Corti.
Eric Randolph?
Detective. Vice?
Can you spell your last name?
Lebrun.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective LeBron. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Perez.
Old Major, 900 South Carey Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sales to minors on October the 16th, 2019. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kensey, representing the licensee.
Morning. With all those who are going to testify, please raise their right hands.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Mr. Cadency, are they going to admit or deny the violation?
Admit.
Didn't even get a chance.
Okay.
Story of my life.
Do you want to have your client testify, or you want to tell us what happened?
And basically, this is one of the few cases where this licensee really has broad support in the community. You're
And
not gonna
before
see
we go
community-
there, are you Ms. Bruno?
Bruno.
Yes.
Okay, for the record, when people speak, we need to get their names on the record, okay? Candice Bruno, right?
She's had broad community support. In fact, she's been working with the community, unlike the other case. Fortunately, she's a fairly new licensee. The person who worked here was the first day they had worked there, and she had just left, and was trying to counsel them, and was alcohol certified. This was supposed to be the first and the last day for this particular employee, because with Ms. Bruno, it's very difficult for her to be there all the time, and when you leave, you're still responsible. She's since got her other employees alcohol certified, and said to them to card and check everybody. But in this case, it didn't happen, and unfortunately, was something happened earlier. She got rid of those employees. It's tough to get the right employees. You can't ship everybody to California like the other case.
Would not be a bad idea, though.
It's the left coast. It's on the left coast. You got to be careful out there.
Okay, so Ms. Bruno, you've had two of these in a short period of time, so you've got to be really careful about your employees.
Oh, I try my darndest. It's very difficult, and this one I really was just floored by. I'd spent my time with this person first day and last day. They had also been trained by a manager that was on site who had re-emphasized that we would card everyone, especially when you're new and you don't know who's a regular or not. So as I got in my bed in DC later that night is when I found out the liquor board came. So it's exasperating. We really are trying our best, and my front of house staff are tip certified. This was an experienced bartender who'd worked for years, and it was a costly mistake.
Yes. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
All right, thank you. Were they cooperative? And your name for the record?
Inspector Chase Liquor Board. They were cooperative.
Thank you. So on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, testimony received, and the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, on October 16, 2019. And this is a second offense, so I would impose a $1,000 fine and give the licensee 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sales to minors, October 16, 2019, based on the testimony today. I will concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Find a violation of Rule 4.01A on October 16, 2019, and would concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Good luck. Thank you.
Call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Inspector Chase.
Red Door Lounge, 1000 North Payson Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on October the 16th, 2019. Please come forward.
Would all those who are going to testify raise their right hands, please?
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Are you Mr. Dante Summers?
I am.
Okay, Mr. Summers, you're charged with the sale to minor on October 16. Do you admit or deny it?
I admit they did it.
Okay. Do you want to tell the board anything?
No, I wasn't there. I wasn't there when they did it, but the guy that did it was his first day, last day. Of course, we heard it, but
And are your staff certified?
every last one, yes, they are.
And they understand their obligation?
He was a new guy. That was his first day there, actually, as one relieved him, and she was in the bathroom as he did it, and that went from there.
Okay. So this is your third sale, but it's been over a period of time,
That's my
so.
second,
Well, our records show one in 2008 and one in 2014.
at the same place.
Yes,
I only had two there. This makes my second.
this is your third, according to our records. So, but there's years in between, so I'm not saying that this is a daily occurrence for you. So,
But I've been the owner of it. I only had two. This makes my second.
This, according to our records, you had one, as the chairman said, in 2008. When was the license transferred?
2007.
Okay, so
You had one early on, and then you had one about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You just have, sir, if you're anywhere near my age, you just don't remember.
I swear to God, I never remember.
In any event, I take into consideration that there's, you've had 5 years since the last one, and before that, 7 years before that. So you've had this license for some time. On the other hand, you got to be careful about this. So, do the commissioners have any questions?
no questions.
On the basis of the materials contained in the charging document, the testimony received, did I ask you if he was cooperative? Was he?
Yes.
Thank you, Inspector. And the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, on October 16, 2019. And taking the record into consideration, I'd impose a $1,000 fine and give you 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sales to minors on October 16, 2019. And I concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on October 16, 2019, and would concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Please see the gentleman in the back.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department.
I believe you.
Detective Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, Inspector Chase.
Knights Liquors, 5139-41 Park Heights Avenue, Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sales to minors on October 16th, 2019. Please come forward.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees. With me here today is one of the licensees, Mr. Hoptum Mbaye Waldemariam.
Good morning. Would those who are going to testify please raise their right hands?
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Admission or denial, Mr. Reed?
Admission, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Do you want to put on testimony or tell us?
I'll proffer. Mr. Waldemariam was working that evening. He's the one that served Cadet Brown. He indicates that he asked for an ID from Cadet Brown, and Cadet Brown said, "I'm 23. I don't have my ID." He said, "I need to see an ID." She said, "I don't have it, but I'm 23," and he gave in. And that's what happened. He said it honestly happened. It shouldn't have happened, but it did, and it was me. He is out. The store is operated by him and his wife only. They're both alcohol awareness certified. He knows better. He said he just let his guard down.
Cooperative?
Every time, yes, very cooperative.
But it has happened 3 times now, including a BD7 violation.
Yes, sir.
So the record is not great. Okay, commissioners have questions?
No questions.
What is he doing to avoid this going forward? Other than just, is there any plans, anything, I mean, other than everybody being asked for ID?
Everybody being asked for ID. There's nothing more that he and his wife can do. They just can't be nice guys. You can't be a nice guy in this business.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received, including the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on October 16, 2019, and in light of the licensee's record, I'd impose a $2,000 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a sales to minors on October 16, 2019. I concur with the imposition of $2,000 fine given the record.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on October 16, 2019, and given this licensee's record, I would concur with the imposition of a $2,000 fine.
Thank you very much.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Inspector Chase.
Thank you.
Club Bar, 1609 Lawrence Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors on October 16th, 2019. Please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Jay Yu, representing the applicant, not the applicant, but the respondent, Ms. Suali.
Okay, would you all please raise your right hands?
All those here to testify, do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? Thank you.
Admission or denial, Mr. Yu?
Admission, Your Honor.
Okay, do you want to proffer or have your client testify?
I would proffer. Basically, on the night of the incident, Mrs. Lee was the one who actually served the cadet. She did ask for the ID, but as the cadet was looking for the ID, she just proceeded with the transaction, thinking that the cadet will eventually provide the ID, but that never happened, and she never followed up. But the fact of the matter is that the transaction should never initiate unless the ID is checked and confirmed that the purchaser is not under 21, which she failed. She has no excuse. She admits that she made a mistake, that she should not make this mistake again, and she went on to purchase a card reader so that she can, hook it up to the register so that it'll remind her that there is no exception. The card must be asked for, obtained, and read and confirmed. So that's what she has done. Did you actually bring the card reader? Can I show it to the commissioners? Here's some brochures and stuff that she brought to confirm that she actually purchased the card reader. Thank you.
Okay, and was she cooperative? Yes. Okay, thank you. Anything further, Mr. Yu?
No further.
Commissioners?
Nothing further.
Nothing.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received, including the admission, find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on October 16, 2019. She's had this license for 3 years, and this is her third violation. I'd impose a $1,500 fine and give her 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors on October 16, 2019, and I concur with the imposition of a $1,500 fine based on the record here.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on October 16, 2019, and concur with the imposition of a $1,500 fine.
Please see the gentleman in the back. Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Inspector Chase.
Hoffman Liquors, 4401-03 Park Heights Avenue, Class A, beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors on October 16th, 2019. Please come forward.
All those who are going to testify, raise their right hands, please.
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Is one of you Soon I Sale?
Yes.
That's you, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. So you're charged with a sale to minor on October 16th. Do you admit or deny that? Did it happen or not?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do you understand? Do you speak English well enough to understand me, ma'am?
Yeah, I try to do.
Okay.
Thanks.
And who are you, sir?
The person who sold the minor.
Oh, okay. Do you want to tell us what happened?
What's your name?
My name is Jose
Last name?
Sandoval. On August 13, I had my first child, and I was going for 4 days without sleep. They give me 4 days for taking care of my children, and I decided to go to work the next 16, and they told me that if I was okay, and I told them I was fine. So, but
So you were sleep deprived?
Yeah, I was.
And how long have you worked there?
For 4 years, around 4 years now.
Is this record, it's been 6 years since the last one, so I guess you weren't responsible for that. But you have not had any violations in the time you've been there?
No.
Okay. Commissioner, were they cooperative?
Very cooperative, and I would concur that he did indeed tell me that the day that we were, he said, I just haven't slept for days. I really wish, and I said, you just gotta ID everyone, because I was there the day before doing business check, and I said, listen, you need to be on the lookout for underage. I do that from time to time, so that was my hint, but he was sleep deprived, as he said.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, and the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on October 16, 2019. I accept Mr. Sandoval's explanation for this occurrence. The record isn't good, but again, there are substantial periods of time in between these violations, so I would give him a bit of a break for this. I would impose a $1,500 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, October 16, 2019, and I concur with the imposition of a $1,500 fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on October 16, 2019, and would concur with the imposition of a $1,500 fine.
But ma'am, this is not a good record, so you don't want to be back here. Understand? Thank you.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Inspector Chase.
Truth Lounge 2, 4507-09 Bel Air Road, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license, violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors on October 14th, 2019. Please come forward.
Good morning. With those who are going to testify, raise their right hands, please.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Are you Ms. Smith or Ms. Anderson?
I'm Miss Smith. That's my sister, Miss Anderson.
Okay. So you all are charged with a sale to a minor on October 14. Do you wish to admit or deny it?
Yes.
You admit that it happened? Okay. Which one would like to tell us what happened?
That particular day was 2 birthday parties there. My sister called me at work. I'm a correctional officer.
Do you mind turning that mic around so?
I didn't want to touch her stuff. So what happened was I was at work. I'm a correctional officer, so I don't always get to be there all the time. She called me at work and said it's a little bit too much to handle. We need another bartender. Normally it's about two bartenders or maybe 3, depending on if the crowd is big. So the one girl had a family emergency, she couldn't come. So one of our other friends, she's a licensed bartender at Longhorn. So I said, call Kia, she could probably come and help out until I get there. My sister's licensed, well, it's 3 of us. All 3 of us are licensed. Our friend Kia is licensed. So when she got there, I had just walked in. I'm assuming the young lady sat down, asked for liquor. She served her, went back down, and started talking, congregating. She left. The people came in. The task force came in. And I thought they was coming there for the license. So I said, go get the license off, the wall, submit it. He's like, oh, no, we're not here for that. He was like, oh, it was underage cadet came in. She's 20. Your person served her. He asked for who served her. She came up, gave her the ID license. Did you serve it? Yes. Get the $20 bill. He took a picture of it, took it out the register, gave it to him, and he just said we was going to receive a fine.
So you haven't had this license very long. This is your first violation.
Yeah, I never even seen no stuff like that. I'm like, why do people do stuff like that? But I guess that's just to make sure we do what we supposed to do.
You have to do it all over the city with
right.
all of our
I didn't understand what was going on, but just by listening, it's like a big eye opener.
You have to be very careful.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were they cooperative with you?
I gave them everything, sir.
I'm sure you did,
Everything.
but I have to ask our people as well. Okay. All right. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
Okay. just be careful going forward on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony, including your admission. I find the violation of Rule 4.01 small a on October 14, 2019. It's your first violation. I'd impose a $350 fine. I'd give you 30 days to pay it.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on October 14, 2019. Given that this is the first violation, I concur with the imposition of $350 fine.
I find a violation, excuse me, of Rule 4.01A on October 14, 2019, and will concur with the imposition of a $350 fine. It is your first violation, and in the words of Detective Gatto, I would continue to be on the lookout for underage drinkers.
Oh, yeah, when he said, oh.
Wouldn't forget about
Yeah,
this.
oh, no.
Please see the gentleman in the back, okay?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Like all exhibits for the record, Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Perez.
Sheldon Lounge, 4325-27 Bel Air Road, Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors on August the 14th, 2019.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioner. Sean Harvey, I represent the licensee, 4325 Bel Air Road, Inc. I'd like to advise the Chairman and the Commissioners that my client is out in the outer hall. She has a small child with her who's making a lot of noise. I thought, you know, I will proffer for her if you want her in here.
Is she going to admit? Is she?
Oh, yes, we're going to admit.
Okay, do we want to bring her in just on the record to say she admits?
I will.
I'm just trying to protect you, Mr. Harvey.
Mr. Harvey, we'll get her. You can come in, sure. What would you?
I don't want her to tell
have a
you
lab
later
out there.
that you weren't authorized.
Okay, yeah, no, I was authorized. While we're waiting, though, if I can.
Well, we got to swear everyone.
Okay.
Maybe Larry will take care of the baby.
Mr. Harvey, while we're waiting, how do you spell your first name?
SHAWN, last name HARBY.
All right, would you all please raise your right hands?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Your name, ma'am?
Navroop Sandhu.
Okay, and Mr. Harvey says that you are admitting that this sale to a minor occurred on August 14?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome to stay, or if your child needs you, you're welcome to step outside. It's up.
I just distracted him.
Okay. All right, Mr. Harvey, you want to tell us?
Yeah, I would like to proffer, if you don't mind. Ms. Sandhu has had this business for 10 years, and she's never had any violations of this type until this year. This is actually the second one. This was on a day where the mayor had a walk around with a group of people in the neighborhood, and there was a lot of overflow crowd in the tavern, and it was very busy. So the bartender who actually made the service has been with Ms. Sandhu since she started, so it's been 10 years. So anyway, that I'd just like you to take that into
He
consideration.
or she understands, and it was an error on that day?
Everyone who handles alcohol is certified in alcohol awareness, and they're vigilant with that. Listen, I've been driving an automobile since I was 16 in 1970. And in 1977, I got 2 speeding tickets, and I haven't had one since. I think you'll have the same with Ms. Sandhu. You won't see her here again on this type of violation.
I hope not. Was she cooperative?
Very.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, testimony received, and the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on August 14, 2019. You're right, she has 2 of these in 2019 and BD7 a couple years before that. I would impose a $1,500 fine and give her 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on August 14, 2019. And given this is the second sales to minors, 3rd violation period, she's had it since 2009, I concur with the imposition of a $1,500 fine.
I hear baby crying. You may want to go out there. It's okay. I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on August 14, 2019. Given that this is the second in this year, I would impose a $1,500 fine as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mike Exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Perez.
Y&S Liquors, 2300-02, Harford Road, Class A, beer, wine, and liquor license, violation of 4.01 small a, sales to minors on August the 14th, 2019. Please come forward.
Would all those who are going to testify raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Are you, excuse me, I lost my page. Are you Mr. Bake?
Yes.
Okay. And so you're aware that you were charged with a sale to minor on August 14. Do you admit or deny that?
Admit.
Okay. And do you want to tell the board what happened that day?
Basically, I was basically taking a phone call, helping someone who had a problem, because I'm also a commissioner and also part of CAGRO. So I get lots of phone calls, but that particular day I was distracted.
You're a police commissioner?
No. An APA, Asian Pacific American board commissioner for the governor.
Okay. And you've had this license now for 15 years and picked up 2 violations this year, first time? Oh, one was dismissed, okay.
Right.
Sorry, I missed that. So this is your
First,
actually, okay.
yes, in 15 years.
And so you were the person who made the sale, and you understand that you have to be very careful about that.
Yes, I do. As I said in the previous, we're trying to sell the business, so.
Okay. Was he cooperative? Okay. Commissioners have anything?
Nothing.
All right. Mr. Bake, on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and your testimony, including your admission, find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on August 14, 2019, and on the basis of your record, I'd impose a $350 fine and give you 30 days to pay.
I concur with I too find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors, August 14, 2019, and I concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on August 14, 2019, would also concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
Please see the gentleman in the back. Thank you.
Mike Exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Perez.
So I don't know.
Do we have another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Garden Hub, 5511 Bel Air Road, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors on October the 14th, 2019. Please come forward.
Director Melvin J. Kadensky representing the licensee.
Good morning. Would all those who are going to testify raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Admission or denial, Mr. Kadensky?
Mission.
And do you want to tell us what happened?
This
Thank you.
particular instance, the gentleman who works there is has a disability, disabled, and lives upstairs. And this is like his sole source of income to keep his insurance. It's not an excuse. You should pay more attention to what's going on. Mr. Holm again indicated that if it weren't the fact that he was also a tenant and then he had this disability, he would try to take a different course of action against him. But it doesn't make much sense. He's on a mission of mercy here, so to speak. However, it's costing him some time and money because of this, and he's instructed him and everybody else that works there, they cannot, absolutely cannot, I don't care what the situation is, to not check some person's cars because it's causing them a problem for the business. Prior a year or so, or a year and a half ago, there was a violation, a minor, was a $250 fine. The other one had to do with the bar situation, but that's all been resolved in the meantime.
Okay. And have you ever seen this letter that we got from the Waltherson Improvement Association?
When did you get it?
About a second ago.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
why
it was
I probably
handed to
don't
me
see
about a
it.
second ago. I want to share it with you, not because it's entirely relevant to whether he violated the law on October 14th, but he apparently has relational problems in his community that he needs to address. So I just bring that to his attention.
I mean, I'm going to have him in touch with him. It'd be nice if the people would talk to him because he's been there for a while.
I don't know who's lacking in communication, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to see that. Was he?
Can I have this one, please?
Yes. Was he cooperative with you? Okay. Okay. So you may, and if it's helpful to you, we have a community liaison individual, Matt over here, who would be happy to help you deal with your improvement association, if we can do that. Commissioners have anything?
Nothing?
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, proffer from counsel testimony, and the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on October 14, 2019, and I would impose a $1,000 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of 4.01A on October 14, 2019, and I concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on October 14, 2019, and concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Thank you.
All right, call zippers for the record. Board of Zipper 1. Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board of Zipper 2, investigation report. Agent Perez. Board of Zipper 3, Walterson Improvement Association in opposition dated 11/20/2019.
Is that our morning docket, Mr. Page?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until 1 p.m.
Thank you. Mr. Page, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Now begins the PM session of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, preliminary matter on the PM docket. Case number 12, 1542 Light Street, Class BD7, here for violation of Rule 3.08 small b. That case has been postponed. There's been a request for courtesy to go out of order. We're going to call case number 13 on the PM docket. We're going to call that first. Euphoria Restaurant and Nightclub, 1301 South Ponca Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 3.08 small b, sanitation and safety, August the 6th, 2019. Please come forward.
Counsel.
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of the licensee.
All those who are going to testify, please raise their right hands.
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
We do.
Is your client going to admit or deny, Mr.
I'm
Hurd?
going to admit.
Okay, well, tell us what happened.
It's my understanding that there was a trash issue and there were complaints. I think there was a misunderstanding in terms of the best way to resolve it. Since the violation was given, my client has gone out and we have more trash pickups at the location than there were before. I'm not sure that it was a situation where it wasn't realized or, again, just a miscommunication, but the trash matter has become a priority for him, and we believe that there shouldn't be any issue going forward. Our goal is to prevent that sort of stuff in the neighborhood, work with the neighborhood to get it resolved.
Do you want to identify yourself for the record, please?
Cindy Tarup, Inspector.
Inspector, were they cooperative with you?
There was no one there.
Have you been back?
I have not, but other inspectors have been.
So is the trash cleaned up at this point?
I have no idea.
Okay, all right. I thought you said that they had been back. I'm sorry. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No. No questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents, testimony received, including the admission, I find a violation of Rule 3.08 small b on August 6, 2019. So this licensee has had the license since 2013 and been before the board now 5 times.
The licensee, if I may, Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting. If there's a good thing in regards to the previous violations, that this is a different violation. I don't think they've ever had a trash violation. Like every business, we're not going to sit here and say that there aren't mistakes that get made. We try to learn from the mistakes. My client works diligently to make that happen every time. Again, the previous violations have been for other issues. This is, I wouldn't say not a liquor violation. This is one of the derivative violations, which is I think they're not in line with the health and safety or other inspections of the city. So it isn't a situation where there's minors being served or, a danger to the city. It is a trash violation. It is a serious matter. It has been addressed with more trash pickups. We would ask that the fine, if possible, be mitigated to $250 if that's possible. But we understand that through the previous record that it may be a little higher.
Okay. Well, I think the record requires more of a sanction than that. So I'd impose a $1,500 fine, and I'd give him 30 days to pay it.
I concur with the judge.
I find a violation of Rule 3.08B on August 6, 2019, and would concur with the imposition of a $1,500 fine, 30 days to pay.
Please see the gentleman in the back.
Thank you, Your Honor. Will you be excused?
Yes, thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector Ted Hope.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay, good.
Todd Connors, 700 South Broadway, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors on August the 27th, 2019. Please come forward.
Just as a heads up for everyone, if in the event that you do receive a fine sanction, please see Jared at the back of the room before you leave. Thank you. Mr. Kadensky?
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky, representing the licensee.
Good afternoon. Those who are going to testify, please raise your right hands.
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Admission or denial?
This would be an admission.
Okay.
The particular licensee, this particular case, Mr. Christian Wilkins, he's been there for more than the time period when the license was transferred. He's been there for 3 or 4 years prior to that. The other two people are his mom and dad. They eventually took over the complete operation about in 2018. It's the first time in a violation. He's disciplined the person that went in there. You know, it's a Polish girl. I don't know how a Polish girl should get involved in Ms. Wisniewski. It shouldn't have happened. And he's made sure that everybody is going to be alcohol certified. And in that area, you notice a lot of people come down. So I think they've learned their lesson as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, and all those who are handling alcohol are certified?
Yes.
Okay. Were they cooperative?
Yes, they were, sir.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners have any questions?
None.
No questions.
All right, thank you. Based on the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received in the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on August 27, 2019. Based on the record, I'd impose a $350 fine and give the licensee 30 days to pay.
I concur with the chair.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on August 27, 2019, would concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
Good luck. Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Clark.
Riptide, 1718 Thames Street, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.01A, small, sales to minors on August the 27th, 2019. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of licensee Riptide.
Good afternoon. With those who are going to testify, please raise their right hands.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Admission or denial, Mr. Hurdle?
Admission.
Okay. Let's hear from you.
Your Honor, my understanding is this is an establishment that actually has quite strong security. In fact, even when I go to this establishment, despite my very young complexion, I still get carded all the time there. And I know these gentlemen, and that is the story that I've heard from everyone who goes to this establishment. They run a really tight ship. There are 2 entrances to the establishment. They monitor them very closely. It is my understanding that this violation happened in kind of a freak circumstance where they have a couple of tables right out front of the establishment that they keep open till about 11. And there was a group at one of these tables where the cadet was sitting, and apparently the group was coming in and out, and they carded the door. So once you're in, arguably they kind of, after a certain time, again, they card religiously, you're kind of good to drink. And I think the cadet kind of got past them. And now, so what they've informed me is that there are already strong procedures. They've gone out and gotten special stamps on top of that so that they can, it's just one more layer. And I think they have been checked in the past by the liquor board. I think they've passed those inspections. This might
They've only
be-
had the license since February, so yeah, but they may have been there before.
They do quite a bit of business, and the summer is a very, very busy time for them.
I understand.
So, you know, this is their first violation. I know they only had the license for February. These 2 gentlemen have been in the industry, I think, a combined, about 20 years between you, maybe longer. So they know the industry. They know that location and that area is, you have to do better.
Started out as security, so
Okay, and yet, can you give us your name, sir? Okay. We're on the record, so when anyone speaks, I have to identify them. Okay. Were they cooperative with you?
Yes, if I could say that, you know, I'm here for a lot of cadet buys, and I would say the security in this place and the footage that they could show me instantly to determine where the breach was instant. It was phenomenal. It was, they were very helpful, and this wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the fact that one piece of their puzzle, which was the security guard, took a breather for a moment, because what they had in place was very almost foolproof, and my cadets did slip by kind of tactfully. So want to put that on the record.
Appreciate the candor.
No longer with us either.
Who's speaking, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
Oh,
did
that
that.
was
Joe Brockmeyer.
Okay.
Justin Brockmeyer, Joe Brockmeyer.
Thank you. Commissioners have questions?
None.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, testimony received, and the admission, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on August 27, 2019. In light of the detective's testimony, I would impose a nominal fine of $200 and give them 30 days to pay.
I concur,
Yeah,
Mr. Chair.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on August 27, 2019. Given the compelling testimony from Detective Gatto, I would concur with the imposition of a $200 fine.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Good luck.
Excused.
Thanks. Yes.
I call exhibits for the
All
record.
right, guys. Yeah.
Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Clark.
Blue Agave Restaurant, 1032 Light Street, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on August the 27th, 2019. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadinsky representing the licensee.
Thought you were bringing Larry as a character witness. I saw him get up there.
I was going to bring his brother, Larry.
With those who are going to testify, raise their right hands, please.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Admission or denial, Mr. King?
Admission.
Okay.
This particular licensee, as you see, it's been a license since 2012. They don't have any convictions on their record. In this day, there was multiple people working, and I guess each one thought that someone else had made the requisite checks, and they didn't. Since that time, they've advised everybody, no matter what, don't rely on what you think of, see somebody talking to somebody else, check their cards.
Were they cooperative, Detective?
Yes, very.
Okay. Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, testimony received, and the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on August 27, 2019. And in light of the record, I'd impose a $350 fine and give the licensee 30 days to pay.
Thank you.
I concur.
Yes.
You gonna wait for Commissioner Greenfield?
No, I'm just,
You're already on to your next case. I know.
I was giving you the sidestep.
Well, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, not that it matters, and would concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you.
I have call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Clark.
Johnny Rad's Pizzeria Tavern, 1206-08 Eastern Avenue, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sales to minors on August the 28th, 2019. Please come forward.
Please raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Are you Mr. Pugh, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Do you admit or deny the violation? All right. Do you want to tell the board what happened?
Pretty straightforward. We did not ID someone who wasn't 21. It's the first violation we've had in 9 years. My employee, Samuel Hurd, works at a liquor store and IDs people who regularly come in with fake IDs, and he's usually very good at IDing people. And
He missed
unfortunately,
one.
no disrespect to the officer, but just because you have a receding hairline, look 30 years old, doesn't mean you are. So I've showed everybody the video footage of it, the pictures of it. We ID everybody. He ID'd somebody for Coca-Cola on accident the other day. We definitely have stepped up ID, and all of my employees that serve alcohol, whether it be bar or serve, are all alcohol awareness certified.
Your record indicates that you do a good job. Were they cooperative?
It's a solid establishment. They do have very good security and just slipped up.
Okay. Commissioners?
No question.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony, and the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, on August 28, 2019. I'd impose a $350 fine and give them 30 days to pay.
I concur with the chair.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on August 28, 2019, and would concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
Thank you.
Like how exhibits for the record, Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Clark.
Six Pack and More, 6622 Bel Air Road, Class A, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sales to minors on August the 14th, 2019. Please come forward.
Please raise your right hands.
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? Yes, I do.
I do.
Are you Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Do you admit or deny the violation, sir?
Yeah, the first time I had the 10
Can you pull this microphone over? Okay.
I closed the 10:30, the closing time, and I got like a hurry, and I don't know what's wrong there. And the first time that happened in my life.
It is your first violation. You've had the license since 2016.
Yeah.
And have you made efforts to make sure this doesn't happen again?
No.
Do you understand what I'm asking?
I had
I think you mean yes, but I understood. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
None.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the materials, oh, was he cooperative?
Always helpful.
Yes, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received and the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, on August 14, 2019. I'd impose a $350 fine and give the licensee 30 days to pay.
I concur with the findings.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on August 14, 2019, and concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
Good luck, sir. Thank you.
Like how exhibits for the record, Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Perez.
Amendment 21, 4924-26 Harford Road, Class A, beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sales to minors on August the 14th, 2019. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanansky representing the licensee.
Good afternoon. Would those who are going to testify raise their right hands, please?
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do. Admission or denial, Mr. Kensky?
This would be an admission, and I think we should get some credit from the 21st Amendment. In this case, no? Okay. In this case here, the gentleman, who's the licensee, had been working all day, and it was the end of the day. He thought he recognized the person from other people that were coming to the store. He absolutely understands now that he cannot just rely on his memory, and then no matter who they are, they're going to, he'll go ahead and check them. They had the license transfer. This is their first time there before the board.
And we have a letter from Hamilton Main Street, Lauraville, in support.
This is one you should
in
like,
support
Mel.
of your
I-
client.
Why do you always assume that they're being...
No, I just said, why don't we get the letters?
I don't know why they don't send it to you,
We
but
get letters, lots
but
and
they
lots
support
of
the positive changes that have occurred since this licensee has taken over the establishment. So.
And I think that's what he was saying, and I was...
Don't you have your copy of the letter? I'm quite sure you do.
I have it right, and it's not the one, I did change the date on this, yes, I did.
Detective, was the licensee cooperative? Yes, sir. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
None.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, testimony received at the admission, and the letter of support, I would find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, on August 14, 2019, and impose a $350 fine and allow 30 days to pay.
I concur with the judge.
Find a violation of Rule 4.01A on August 14, 2019. Concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
All exhibits for the record, Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective LeBron. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report from Agent Perez. Board Exhibit 3, letter of support from Hamilton, Lauraville, Main Street, dated November 14, 2019, in support.
Garden Bar, 4809-11 Erdman Avenue, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.1, small a, sales to minors on August the 15th, 2019. Please come forward.
For those who are going to testify, please raise their right hands.
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Are you Mr. Katsouradis?
Yes, sir.
And do you admit that this occurred or deny it?
I admit.
Do you want to tell the board what happened then?
My brother was managing the bar, and my bartender served the cadet. It was an accident. In January, they sent the cadets in, and of course, we passed then. She slipped up, and I guess it was later in the night. It was after midnight. Wasn't an excuse. I explained to her the severity of it. And
Well, you've had this license since 1978, and every 10 years you have a problem, but it's been 10 years since the last.
it was her sister.
Were they cooperative with you, Detective? Okay. Thank you. On the basis then, the materials, Commissioners have any?
No question.
No
On
question.
the basis then, the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received in the admission, a final violation of Rule 4.01 small a on August 15, 2019. In light of these time, I'm going to pose a $350 fine, and I'll give you 30 days to pay.
Thank you very much, sir.
I concur with the chair.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on August 15, 2019, and concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Be careful.
I post it for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective LeBron. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Perez.
Mai Tai, 1300 Bank Street, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.20, small b, small I, prohibited activities by license type, Class B licensees, functional kitchen, on October the 23rd, 2019. Violation of Rule 4.20, small b, small I, prohibited activities on October the 23rd, 2019. Violation of Rule 4.18, small a, alterations on October the 23rd, 2019. Please come forward.
Yes, good afternoon. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of licensees. This is not an admission.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Fogelman. Those going to testify, please raise their right hands.
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes. There are 3 violations. You're denying all 3?
Yes, thank you.
Please.
On the 23rd of October, at
State your name,
Oh,
please.
sorry, sir. Inspector Tarup, Baltimore City Liquor Board. On the 23rd at approximately 3 p.m., Inspector Tarup arrived at 1300 Bank Street, known as Mai Tai, to perform a routine inspection. At the time of arrival, Inspector Tarup found establishment open for carry-out orders, but dining room and bar are closed. Inspector observed that the 3-compartment sink, all electronics, fridges, all liquor had been removed from behind the bar area and no longer used. The dining room was dark, a mess, and not open for use. Inspector made contact with owner and was told that they had decided to no longer use the dining room area. Inspector instructed the establishment to contact the liquor board immediately as they were not in compliance with their LB license.
Are you going to testify as to the other violations as well?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Then we'll do all the cross.
Sorry, sir.
It's the same set of facts.
I mean, but the violation, the second violation turns on the kitchen issue. Is that correct? So did you find that the kitchen was functional?
The kitchen was functional, sir.
It was?
The kitchen was functional. The bar area was not functional
Okay.
because they were still using the establishment as a carry-out only facility.
Okay. And the alteration violation turns on the fact that they had closed down the dining area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you have questions for the inspector?
Very briefly, thank you, Inspector. When you arrived, you noticed that there was an auction going on at the property next door, right?
I did notice there was an auction next door, but when I was inside the establishment, someone came up to me in the establishment and asked if I was from the auction company. 'Cause I
Right.
was looking through the
Right.
sink and stuff.
Did the licensee on duty at the time, did he tell you that some of his items were going to be added on to that auction, and that's why there were a lot of
Yes, sir.
chairs and things like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did he tell you about the flood damage?
He did not know, sir.
Okay. All right. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to put on testimony then?
Yes, thank you. I think I would move to dismiss the second charge, 4.20 V2, as we had a clearly functioning kitchen on that date.
Any objection, Commissioners?
None.
I grant the motion.
All right, thank you very much. I'll call Mr. James B. Bradley Wales. He's a licensee. All right, thank you. Mr. Wales, you've been a licensee since 2012, right?
Correct.
And you stood up here and you remember Commissioner Jones?
I do.
He voted to
Yes.
approve your license back then, 7 years ago. All right,
Looks younger today than he did then.
it's eerie.
My establishment's been in existence since 2007. I went through the Mount Vernon fire. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was a devastation of 5-alarm fire at Madison and Charles. But anyway, after that, I relocated to the Bank and Central area with my license,
All right, thank you. So, but you've been with this license for 7 years?
Correct.
You've renewed every year?
Yes.
You've had a kitchen, you've
Yes.
had a bar?
Yes.
You've had tables?
Yes.
You've had dine-in customers?
Correct.
And you've had delivery?
Correct.
Okay. Tell me, well, let me do this. We're going to mix this up a little bit. While I was waiting for the other cases, I read that on August 7th, 2019, the Washington Post reported a severe thunderstorm parked over the Baltimore area early Tuesday evening, unloading up to a half foot of rain in a punishing torrent. And I don't know if anybody here remembers, but you remember that storm well.
Yes, many camera videos and stuff, yes.
All right, and what happened as a result of that big storm? Because I remember it specifically.
It flooded
Yeah.
my front of the house restaurant, and that's kind of like when I kind of like made my decision just to shut it all down.
All right, and in fact, you.
And what was the date?
August the 6th.
And in fact, you submitted a claim to insurance, isn't that right?
Correct.
And so you now know how much damage it was. It was over $30,000.
Correct.
And you finally got a settlement check for that,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
All right, and chairs, table, and other equipment
Correct.
were destroyed as a result of this
Correct.
flood, right? All right, and again, at the same time, you were realizing that you were making more money doing delivery.
Correct.
And so you had a choice that you had to make. And until very recently, you didn't know which way you wanted to go with that, right?
Yes, that's correct.
But you literally made a decision around the time of this inspection that
correct.
you were going to delivery only.
Yes.
Okay, and like as was testified to, the kitchen was open on the date of the inspection, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you were taking food orders, you were cooking food.
Yes.
Right. All right. And so, So since the date of that inspection, what alcohol, if any, have you sold from the premises?
0.
Okay. And so when was the last date, if you remember specifically, that you had
I would
alcohol
probably
sales?
say sometime around when the inspector showed up.
All right.
Because I had sold out of my beer, and I said, when I sold out of my beer, I'm done. And I took all my liquor and alcohol off the shelves and put it back in my office.
So,
To which I think she has some pictures
So
of
were
it.
you intending to relinquish your liquor license?
that's, yeah, I'm right about there. So you have no use for the liquor license
Correct.
anymore, isn't that
Yes,
right?
correct.
But you've had it renewed every year.
Yes.
And very recently, around time of this inspection, is your idea that you would like to try to market the license, isn't that right?
That's correct.
And you've told me, and happy to tell the liquor board, that you will agree to the license being on an inactive status, just like any other closed bar or tavern.
Correct.
And the time requirements and a hardship extension and all those other things, just like any other place that is, even though the business isn't closed, the alcohol serving
I get it, your
portions.
drift here. You're willing to place your license on an inactive status in lieu of a sanction, is that correct?
Absolutely.
And you're going to then try to sell the license?
That's correct.
Okay. Were they cooperative with you?
Yes, sir.
Commissioners have any questions?
None.
You don't dispute these facts, though.
No. I mean, he was. I don't think he suffered serious flood damage, and he's been operating. The place was a mess, but he was cleared by health to continue to serve deliveries, and that's what he's been doing.
But you are willing to go on record now saying that you're going to cease selling alcoholic
I don't even
beverages?
have any alcohol in the restaurant, period.
But where's your office?
in the back of the restaurant. That is not going to be part of the,
Well, that's too close to me. Things can happen.
yeah.
Yeah, so,
But there's no alcohol there now. It's
I mean,
zero.
so what I would ask is that the license be declared inactive as of today, and that the usual statutory periods for dealing with this license or having it expire apply.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.20, small b, small I, on October 23, 2019, and a violation of Rule 4.18, small a, on October 23, 2019. Rather than impose a sanction, given the exceptional circumstances, I would, do they have to surrender the license, Mr. Page, for it to be inactive?
Mr. Chairman, the licensee should follow protocol for submission of the license, and then the agency will notify him as to what law allows to protect the license for preservation to sell at a later time.
Okay, my sanction would be that I'm going to bar you from selling alcohol from this point forward and ask that you follow our guidelines in rendering your license inactive.
Not a problem.
Okay.
I concur with the chair.
Actually, okay. Mr. Page, I was going, the day that the inspector came in, I was going to email you that this was happening. She came and got my phone number and said I was going to have a return call, to which I never got.
I find a violation of Rule 4.20, small b, small I, on October 23rd, 2019. I also find a violation of Rule 4.18A on October 23rd, 2019, and will concur with the chairman that that the licensee is barred from selling alcohol and must follow the rules and regulations to place the license appropriately in a marketing posture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Investigation Report, Inspector Tudhope.
Where are we? Banditos, 1118 South Charles Street, Unit 101, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, on October the 25th, 2019. Violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, on October the 25th, 2019. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees. With me here to my far right is Mr. Michael White, one of the licensees, and his son, Sean White, the manager.
Good afternoon. With those who are going to testify, please raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
And Sean White, how do you spell your first name?
Sean, S-E-A-N.
Mission or denial?
Denial, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Inspector?
Inspector Tudhope, Baltimore City Liquor Board. On the 25th of October at approximately 11:17, Inspector Tudhope responded to a 311 complaint at 1118 South Charles, known as Bandito. Staff arrived at the establishment at approximately 11:17 and parked car at the intersection of South Charles and West Rope Walk. Upon exiting the car, Inspector could clearly hear loud music coming from down the street a block away. Upon further investigation, staff determined that the loud music was coming from Banditos. Staff also observed the establishment had one small side window and both front doors open. Music was at a high volume. Staff made contact with security and asked to speak to a manager in charge. Inspector made contact with Mr. Howell, manager of Banditos, and made him aware of complaint and informed him a violation was being issued. Inspector instructed Mr. Howell to turn down music and close all doors and windows. Mr. Howell cooperated and followed all instructions given by the inspector.
Questions?
Thank you. Inspector Tudhope, you indicated that you responded to a complaint, a 311 complaint?
I did, sir.
Okay. And were you in the area already, or did you drive to the area?
I drove to the area.
Okay. And you said that Charles and Rope Walk?
Yes, sir.
Is that where you parked your vehicle?
I did, sir.
Okay. And at the point that was anyone else with you?
No, sir.
You indicated staff responded. Does that mean you?
Me, sir.
Okay. Now, when you got out of your vehicle, this was on a Friday night?
I believe so, sir, yeah.
Okay, at 11:17?
Yes.
And this is right near Cross Street Market, right?
Yes, 1 block further up is where I parked.
Further up, meaning closer to downtown?
To Rope Walk.
Okay, and,
I'm sorry, the intersection I pointed out that I parked at.
okay. And in the immediate area of Banditos, across the street is Wayward,
Yes, sir?
and a little bit further north is, what's it called now?
Up
There's
Shore.
Rupal, there's Mothers, there's
Yes, sir?
Charles.
Okay, so there's various establishments, 11:17 on a Friday night.
That's true, sir.
Okay, and what was the conditions of the ambient noise on the outside of Charles Street on a Friday night at 11:17?
There was ambient noise, sir, but I could clearly hear the music, the particular music coming from Banditos.
Okay, and this is how far away?
It was
That you
probably like a block.
West Street, it's West Street in Charles.
Okay. And a block away, and you,
Maybe a little less than a block, but it's
what else
about,
could you hear?
that is all the music I could hear, and I could hear people walking around.
Okay, and vehicles?
Yes, of course.
And no other music from any other establishment?
Their music was drowning out any other music coming from establishment.
From a block away, their music was drowning out?
Well, that was the music I heard, sir.
Okay, and so how loud was this music from a block or so away?
Loud enough that I could hear the music playing. I mean,
Okay.
I didn't have a noise meter on me, sir.
No noise meter?
Nope,
Did you take a video?
I did not know.
Okay, and to a reasonable person, was this music a block away disturbing?
I believe so, yes, sir.
You believe so?
That's why I issued the violation, sir.
Okay, and you're indicating that as you walk closer, you could still hear the music?
I could. It was louder as I walked closer.
Okay, and as you got into the premises, you say the front doors were open?
The front doors, your front doors were open, and then there's a side service window, I believe it is, that was open as well. It's where the bartenders are right behind the service window.
Okay, and the doors open, are you referring to people opening and the door as they go in and out?
It wasn't opening, closing. They had the doors open.
And what was keeping the doors open?
I didn't look what
Was there a chair in
was.
front of it, or?
The security guards were standing in front of the doors. I didn't check what was holding the doors open.
Okay. And was this the Banditos entrance or the 101 entrance, or both?
This was Banditos.
Banditos, okay.
Mhm.
And you're indicating that one of the windows for the seats was partially open?
It was fully open. I believe this is the window that they closed. That belongs to Banditos.
Do you have one with the picture open?
I do not, because I instructed your staff to close the doors and windows
And you took the
to see
picture?
if that would take care of the noise.
And you took the picture after they closed it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were any of these garage door windows where the customers sit, they weren't open?
No, just your
These were
front
closed.
doors and this window over here.
Okay. All right.
Further questions?
Now, with regard to the charges, you have a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, as well as 3.
That's the only charge we have.
You only have illegal, okay.
Yes.
You don't have a charge for,
I have one charge.
I'm trying to get it,
Try to, if you want to.
We can try, we can,
Snap,
3.12 general
cause of
welfare.
victory, you're welcome to try.
Okay.
Been down that road.
Okay, so, are you alleging that the establishment violated some other federal, state, or local statute, law, or ordinance? Or are you
Just the
alleging
noise.
that it was against the public health, safety, welfare, and quiet and morals?
The health, safety, quiet morals, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Oh, he talked himself into it.
Val, so what was the other one? Is it based on the same set of facts?
My question, Mr. Chairman, if this may help you along, is there's a Rule 3.12, general welfare.
But it's based on the same operative facts?
Right, but there's two parts of 4.16, which is violating somebody else's rule, or, and then it goes on to say, or the, against the public peace, safety, health, welfare, which appears to be the same language as 3.12.
But the 3.12 is based on our own rules and regulations?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and what you elicited from the inspector is that she was basing it on our rules and regulations.
That's
So
what I
understood the
understand. So
testimony.
you're not charging a health department violation? Okay,
So,
thank
so I anticipate your motion, and I dismiss Rule 4.16 allegation, and let's proceed on the 3.12 allegation.
Thank you, sir.
And before, I mean, I guess you want to elicit testimony, but I just, for the record, want to note that we've received letters of support for the licensee from the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association, from the FHBA, which is the president, Mr. Schofer, and also from Kathy Rosenbaum, Federal Hill Main Street, Inc. So did you have other testimony you wanted to present?
Yes, sir. If I can just follow up with a closing question. Ms. Tudhope, so when you addressed the staff, you asked them to close the windows and doors and to turn the music down, and were they cooperative?
Very.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions. I would like to call Mr. Sean White.
Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. White, were you sworn?
Yes.
Thank you. You were manager at Banditos?
Correct.
And just so the record's clear, Banditos is in two parts of...
Oh, sorry. Correct. Yep.
All right, and Banditos is two parts. It's Banditos to the further north, and then the other side is...
South
called
is 101, correct.
Okay. And it's the same establishment?
Yep.
Same sound system?
Correct. Same
Okay.
size speakers, everything.
Okay. Now, just for the board's clarification, on a Friday night, you are a restaurant, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and you also have some music?
Yes. Our
Okay.
kitchens are open till 11 o'clock, at which point, when that closes, then we do have a DJ on the weekends.
Okay. So at the point that the kitchen's open and customers are eating food, there's no DJ or what?
No,
may
the
be
music's at a
considered
reasonable
as-
rate. and People don't want to eat in peace, not with their eardrums being blown out.
Okay, so at about 11:17, when Inspector Tudhope says that she came, that would be about the time that the DJ would start?
Correct.
Okay. And have you had any issues with regard to your establishment for noise coming out of your establishment?
No, the liquor board inspectors have been out through the end of August into October for the general welfare of the neighborhood. We have spoke to Joanne on previous nights and
Ms. Martin.
Miss Martin, I'm sorry, and have been asked to close our doors in accordance. We also met with the liquor board as a whole, the entire hospitality industry. I believe it was in the middle of October. We've agreed to close our doors at 10 o'clock, even before our kitchen closes. We've been doing everything we can to cooperate. There's another piece here. I just got a quote for $12,000, which can be submitted to you guys, to put in a second vestibule so that there will be two doorways. So when one's open, the other one won't be open, so that sound does not carry out into the streets. So we've been doing everything we can to remedy the situation. I also have another letter here from our landlord. There's 10 residential units directly above our establishments. In the 7 years we've been doing business, not once has our landlord ever had a noise complaint from 10 units that are touching our part of our building. So we've never had, complaints with him as well.
Did you make a video to try to?
I did make a video.
Okay. You did that this afternoon, this morning?
I did.
Okay. Can you?
There's actually 2 videos.
Okay, so your contention is that your front is sufficient now to keep noise from getting outside?
Correct.
But that you will take the additional step of building a vestibule?
That is
But
correct.
that's in a sense of good neighbor, not that you're admitting that you're doing something wrong. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything to try and mitigate the situation. I do have a video here.
Now, explain, before you show the video, explain what you did in the first video.
So in the first video, we cranked the music up as loud as we could. We videotaped it inside the building. We then walked outside, walked all the way up to West Street with the door closed. Once you get out of the building, turn right and past the liquor store, you cannot hear any music at all. The second video is with both doors propped wide open, doing the same route, walking all the way up to where the noise was claimed to be heard, and you can hear absolutely nothing as well.
Can you play the first video for me, if the board will so permit? Now that's inside with the music cranked?
Correct.
You're a material witness in this video, Mr. Previs.
Seen that read well before.
Me and my bald head.
It's a good thing
That's
there's
us
no lawyer on the
walking
other
up
side.
walking up the street towards West Street. As you can tell, there's no sound. You cannot hear anything coming from our establishment at all, especially a whole block away.
So who did you get to certify this video?
Well, with the second video, there's three gentlemen standing.
So this is your personal phone?
This is my personal phone,
And is
sir.
that an iPhone?
This is an
I
iPhone.
want to certify your distance, the volume of the music while you was walking away. Was there any institution or any licensed establishment that certified the sound? This video you took, is there anybody to certify that?
No. Explain your sound system. Is there a 1 to 10 dial?
Yes, it's cranks up to 10.
Okay. And you cranked it
This
all
was
the way up?
cranked as loud as our sound
How do we
system
know it
here.
was at 10 or 1?
He's under oath.
I'm under oath. I'm testifying to that.
Okay.
Is there anything further?
Second video, very briefly.
I
okay.
believe your testimony.
Okay. Thank you. You have the other letters.
We do.
And we also have Federal Hill, Main Street, Ms. Rosenbaum and Mr. Chauffeur are here to testify on my behalf as well.
We've received their letters and we accept those, so I don't think we need to hear from them. Do you have anything further?
No, sir.
Do you? Okay. Thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, I do find a violation of Rule 3.12 on October 25, 2019, but I think there's a lot of mitigation as well. And there was immediate cooperation with the request to turn it down, and whether it was, I have to accept our inspector's testimony that she was able to hear it, although there's contrary testimony. So, but I'd impose a nominal sanction of $150 and give you 30 days to pay it.
I concur with the judge.
Yeah, I find a violation of 4.16 on October 25th,
You do?
2019.
3.12.
Oh, I'm sorry, not 4.16, thank you.
Yeah.
Instead, 3.12, I find a violation of that on October 25th, 2019, and would concur with the imposition of a $150 fine. I think you guys have done a really good job in working with the community and really working to put in systems in place to try and prevent something like this, so I give you guys a lot of credit. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good
Thank you,
work.
Board.
I close exhibits for the record. I'm sorry, can I have the licensee's letters?
You may have all of this, Stacy.
Thank you. Licensee Exhibit 1, contract, dated 11/1/2019. Licensee Exhibit 2,
We only got one, though.
I'm sorry, there's no licensee Exhibit 2. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector Tudhope. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Liquor Board license complaint printout. Board Exhibit 3, letter of support from Federal Hill Main Street in support, dated 11/20/2019. Board Exhibit 4, letter of support from Federal Hill Business Association in support, dated 11/2019. And Exhibit 5, letter of support from Federal Hill Neighborhood Association, dated 11/2019.
Bond Street Social, 901 South Bond Street.
I'm sorry. Mr. Page, Mr. Chairman, can I ask that Thames Street be called first? Because it'll put both cases in context. They're both at the exact same time, 5 minutes apart.
Case number 11, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Callie's Court, 1602-08 Thames Street, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, October the 27th, 2019. Violation of Rule 4.16, Illegal Conduct on October the 27th, 2019. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees, Eric Lozen and Karen Patton. With me to my immediate right is Mr. Theodore Lozen, who's the manager at the establishment.
Okay.
and
Would
has
you all raise your right hands,
knowledge
please?
of this matter.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Denials?
Technical denial.
Okay. Do you have an argument? Or is this a factual?
Factual. I'd just
All
like to
right.
hear from the
Inspector? Please state your name for the record.
Inspector Tuttle, Baltimore City Liquor Board. On 10/27/19 at 11:51, Inspector Tuttle responded to a 311 complaint at 1606 Thames Street, known as Kelly's Court. Staff arrived at approximately 12:09 a.m. Inspector could hear loud music coming from the establishment, both from the outdoor speakers in the courtyard area and from the side and from inside the establishment at extremely high volume. Inspector walked to the next block of South Bond and Shakespeare at request of complainant and could hear music at a loud volume over a block away. Staff made contact with security and asked to speak with the manager in charge. Inspector made contact with Eric O'Hyman, I believe? O'Hanian, manager of Kelly's Court, and made him aware of complaint and informed him of the violation was being issued. Inspector instructed Mr. O'Hanian to close all windows and doors of both floors and turn off the outdoor speakers in the courtyard area. Mr. O'Hanian cooperated and followed all instructions given by Inspector of the Baltimore City staff. Baltimore City Liquor Board has responded multiple times to complaints about the establishment in regard to loud music at the establishment, was given a final warning on previous complaint by the Baltimore City Liquor Board staff. All events occurred in Baltimore City.
Questions?
Thank you. Inspector Tudhope, were you in the area, in the Fells Point area, when this call came in?
I was, sir.
And where were you initially?
I was on Thames Street,
Thames and?
Broadway.
Thames and Broadway, okay. And this was what night of the week?
I believe it was a Wednesday. No, it was a Saturday for the previous week before Halloween.
Okay, there was the Saturday before Halloween, being
Yes, sir.
the 27th.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay, and what prior to receiving notice of a 311 call, what were you just monitoring?
I was
Fells Point?
monitoring the whole Fells Point at that stage,
Okay,
sir.
and I happened to be down there that night. It was a lot of activity, people attending establishments.
It was actually not as busy as usual because of the rain.
Rain.
It was pouring down rain that night.
Okay, and when you were, before you received any type of call and you were on the corner of Broadway and Thames, did you hear the music from Callie's Court?
No, sir, because I was over 2 blocks away. And I wasn't walking down that street. I was walking around the marketplace, that area, and doing inspections on that block.
Very well. All right, and then you received a 311 call and you went to where?
I walked down Thames towards Kelly's Court, sir.
And where did you go first?
I went to Kelly's Court.
Did you go to Bond Street Social?
I took care of Kelly's Court first, and then I did my walkthrough again and determined there was still music coming from Bond Street Social.
Okay. And you said that the 311 complainant met you at the...
I did not meet. No, I spoke to her on the phone.
Okay. So you were on the phone with this person?
Yes, sir.
And this person asked you to go to the corner of Bond and Shakespeare?
Yes, sir. She said she lived in the vicinity and she could hear the music. So I was proactive and walked to that block to see if I could hear the music, and I did, indeed.
To add her around where she said she was?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so you walked there alone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Bond and Shakespeare, so Thames Street runs along the water, east and
Yes,
west.
sir.
And Bond Street is the one street to the west of this premises.
I believe so, yes, sir.
And Shakespeare is the small block that's parallel with Thames Street.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay, so you were up at the next corner, but the backyard of Callie's Court would have been, as the crow flies, not that far from where you were.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, all right, and you could hear what?
I could hear the music from Kelly's Court first, and I could hear it was very loud. They have outdoor speakers in a courtyard, and the music was on full blast. All their doors and windows were open. I made contact with security, and I asked them to close all the doors and windows.
Okay.
I spoke to the manager, and he was very compliant.
Okay, so you walked west on Thames Street, so you walked past Callie's Court first before you walked up to Bond and Shakespeare?
I walked past it, went down to that block where the complainant stated that the music could be heard. Then I walked back to the front and made contact with security.
Understood. Okay. And you're saying that when you walked up to Bond and Shakespeare, you could hear two different types of music?
I could, at that stage, only hear Callie's Court, but once I had Callie's Court music turned down and I walked further down Thames, I could hear later, after I had completed my inspection with Callie's Court, I could still hear loud music.
From Bond Street?
From Bond Street Social, further up Thames as well.
Okay. You didn't mention that in your reports in either case, did you? You didn't reference the other establishment?
I did each one separate.
Okay, but you didn't reference that you could hear music from both places?
I did not know.
Okay. Do you have a video of
I do not
the
know.
music? Do you have a sound meter?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Okay. I have no further questions.
Okay. Anything further?
I don't know if it's mitigation or in defense, but I'd like Mr. Lozen to address the board with regard to.
I can tell you that Bond Street is a cacophony of sound.
You have to speak in the microphone.
Yeah, Thames Street is just full of sound at night. I mean, there's one bar after another with music. If it's not outside like in our court, it's certainly with windows open, which does the same, accomplishes the same end. It attracts people into the restaurant. And obviously there's competing sounds down there that are going on all the time. But the long and short of it is, subsequent to this time, we have withdrawn. The speaker, this huge speaker that we have out there, is gone. We prefer that it be toned down, but 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, when I'm not there and some other people aren't there, they have a tendency every now and then to turn it up. But it's gone now. The manager who's there, who generally would decide on the acceptable strength, is leaving the restaurant, and it's not there anymore. We won't have this kind of thing anymore. We're not going to have this speaker outside
And those
any
duties
longer.
are beyond his control at this point?
Pardon?
Those type of duties are beyond his control?
Oh, yes.
Even though he's been given notice,
Mhm.
it's still legally, technically an employee?
And yeah, that's correct.
Okay. No more outside speakers?
No,
more
the speaker's
outside
gone.
music?
The speaker's gone. But I don't see how, it's very difficult to imagine a difference between, just as an aside, between someone standing in front of our restaurant and a car, as she stated, up at the corner at Broadway and Thames. Is no more than standing up on Shakespeare Street and Bond. They're both a block away. Yet it's interesting to note that the music was not discernible to her from Thames Street vantage point, but from Bond Street. But whatever, it's gone. The music's gone. It's now inhibited. It will not be there anymore. And
Was
going
the
forward, I can
violation
assure you.
on the 10th of October for the same thing?
No, Mr. Chairman. I represented them on that occasion. I believe you may not have been here that day, but it had to do with,
There wasn't loud music.
no, it's the
Outdoor
outdoor
bar.
patio.
Okay, that's all right. I just wanted to know if it
And
was the
I
same thing.
clarified with minor privilege that we do have a minor privilege for the tables that are out on the sidewalk. We've put in a new use permit for the patio. Under the new zoning law, it's permissible
I just
use
wanted to
that
find out if it
zoning.
was the same offense.
Yeah, it wasn't the sound.
Okay.
And that's being worked on too. That's going to be resolved within days.
All right. Commissioners have questions?
No.
No questions.
Okay. And do we have a 416 issue here?
I think it's the same logic applies, Mr. Chairman. It's, as I understand.
And maybe, let's hear from Mr. Akers.
Tom Sackers, do I need to be sworn in?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm that you're going to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
So is 4.16 based on just statute and ordinances?
Just statute and ordinances is charged prophylactically. So 3.12 is general welfare, and because it could be considered illegal conduct too, it's charged. They can be merged, or you can drop one or the other.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, I would find a violation of Rule 3.12 on October 27, 2019. I would dismiss Rule 4.16, or I wouldn't find a violation of it anyway, because I don't think we had testimony to that effect. Understand that you fixed the problem.
It's totally fixed.
And so I'd impose a $200 fine and give you 30 days to pay it.
I concur with the chair.
Find a violation of Rule 3.12 on October 27, 2019. concur with the imposition of a $200 fine and would agree with the dismissal of Rule 4.16.
Thank you, sir.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report. Inspector Tudhope. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Liquor Board liquor license complaint printout.
Bond Street Social, 901 South Bond Street, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, on October the 27th, 2019. Violation of Rule 4.16, Illegal Conduct, on October 27th, 2019. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees, Mike Mastalone and John Durkin. To my right is Mike Mastalone, one of the licensees, Shane Gherkin, former licensee, but still current manager of the establishment, and Shane Connors, one of the other managers who was present at one of the applicable times.
Good afternoon. Would all of you please raise your right hands?
Swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
Also a denial?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and the same 3.12, 4.16.
Understand. Inspector, you were starting to testify about after the music was turned down at Callie's Court, you heard music coming from Bond Street. So why don't we pick it up there?
Okay, I responded to a 311 complaint as well from 901 South Bond Street, known as Bond Street Social. Staff arrived at establishment approximately 12:28. Inspector could hear loud music coming from establishment at extreme high volume. Inspector walked to the next block of South Bond and Shakespeare at the request of complainant, and also walked down Thames Street approximately half a block to hear the music at both locations. Staff made contact with security and asked to speak to a manager in charge. Inspector made contact with a Mr. Shane Gherkin, manager of Bond Street Social, and made him aware of complaint and informed him of a violation was being issued. Inspector instructed Mr. Gherkin to close all doors, including the front doors and either end door of the building at the outdoor patio areas, and turn down the music. Mr. Gherkin was not very cooperative, but did comply with inspector's request before leaving. Baltimore City Liquor Board staff have responded multiple times to complaints about this establishment in regards to loud music, and was given a final warning on a previous complaint by Agent Darrell Clark on 10/19/2019. All events occurred in Baltimore City, Maryland.
Cross-exam.
Thank you. Inspector Tudhope, you read from your report that indicate that multiple complaints had been made about this establishment, and a final warning from Inspector Clark on 10/19. Do you have any personal knowledge with regard to that? Oh, Inspector Clark's here. I'll ask him shortly.
Were you sworn, Inspector?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good. Inspector Clark, you were there about a week or so before this occurred.
Yes, sir.
And you met with Mr. Connors, Shane Connors, and he was polite and cooperative.
Yes, yes.
And did he direct you to Callie's Court and the outdoor speaker that was going on at that time?
Yes, and we walked around and looked, and the noise kind of bounces from Callie's over to Bond, and so we were trying to figure out actually which location that it was. But at the time that I went, he did comply and lowered the music, but the patio doors were closed. So at that point, at the time that I came for the inspection, but he did lower his music once inside the establishment.
Okay.
We heard the music coming outside when the doors were opening and closing.
Okay, but was it your bottom line with regard to that inspection that the music was coming from Callie's and bouncing off of his wall?
Yes, at one particular time, the night that I went.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Okay, so Inspector Tudhope, maybe I'll have Mr. Gherkin explain this, but was he, with regard to your indicating that he was not cooperative, was he trying to explain to you that the music was coming from Callie's?
He did say the music was coming from Callie's. He also tried to explain to me that his business was facing the water, so he did not see why he had to turn down the music and or close his doors.
Okay, but you did confirm that music was coming from Callie's. They've been in violation.
I had dealt with the issues at Kelly's Court, yes,
Okay.
sir.
So now, back to your prior testimony, you indicated that at the point that you walked up Okay, let me ask you this, and don't tell me who the complainant is, if they're anonymous. But the person, actually, I think it's in the report, but that's not where I want to go. The person made 2 back-to-back 311 complaints with regard to Callie's and Bond Street?
They were 2 separate calls.
Same
But this,
person?
I believe it was the same person,
Okay,
yes.
and then you previously testified that when you walked up to Bond and Shakespeare, you could only hear Callie's.
At the first time I went, because I addressed Callie's Court first.
Right.
Because that was the first 311 complaint that came through. And once I had Callie's Court's music turned down, doors closed, and the noise was at a good level, I walked back actually with Mr. O'Hyman to check the music to make sure that it was so he could have a balance point of how the music should be for the rest of the night.
You walked back to Shakespeare and Bond?
No, we just walked to the corner.
To the
I think it's the
Bond
corner
and
of...
Thames?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he could see that the music was turned down and we could not hear it anymore.
Okay, so at the point, you only went to Shakespeare and Bond one time? Is that
Twice.
right? You went twice?
Because once I had dealt with that issue, I walked back
Okay.
because she asked me to...
May I ask you a question, Inspector? So
Yes, sir.
was the problem here this outdoor speaker at Callie's Court primarily?
Yes, that was the first music I heard.
And would you have heard the music at the Bond Street Social if that other music had not been playing there?
I would have, yes.
Would you have violated them?
Yes, they were loud enough to be violated, sir.
Okay.
Okay. I have no, did you take a video?
I did not, sir.
Did you use a meter, a
No, sir.
sound meter? Okay. No further questions. I'd like to call Mr. Shane Gherkin.
Okay.
Mr. Gherkin, spell your name and you were sworn?
First name Shane, S-H-A-N-E, last name Gherkin, G-E-R-K-E-N.
Okay. And you were one of the general managers at Bond Street Social?
I was,
How long you been working there?
since we opened just over 7 years ago.
Okay. And were you on duty and you met with Inspector Tudhope on this
I was. I'd
evening?
walked back in the building. I was going between our 2 locations, Bond Street Social and Bar Cocina. I'd come through the back door when she had arrived. I was notified by one of my door guys that she had arrived. I believe at that time, without being asked by me, that our door guys had already closed the doors, as that's part of their general duty every evening at 10 p.m. It was a half door that was open. Our entire west side of the building has accordion doors that fold open, so it has an even walk from the inside of the restaurant to the patio.
If I could just lay a little more detail about it.
Correct.
So you're on the corner fronting Thames Street,
That's correct.
and then it goes down where Bond Street used to be, which is just a walkway at this
So
point?
running east and west on Thames Street is just windows which were not open. We had a half of a door open, which would have been on the old former Bond Street that does run north-south.
So no windows are open on the Thames Street side?
That's correct.
Okay. And the what do you call them,
A-
accordion windows?
Accordion window door.
Okay, and there are a whole series of those on the Bond Street walkway
Correct.
side?
Correct.
And they should have all been closed at
They should
10
have all
o'clock?
been closed at 10 o'clock.
And one was partially open?
Correct.
Okay, and staff had already made sure that got closed?
When I was grabbed, I came outside and I was told that the doors were open. When I had turned around and looked, it was closed, which is when the inspector informed me that your staff had just closed it. So I believe when she arrived, that's when the staff realized they did not complete their job. They then closed that door, which,
And this music is live or DJ music?
DJ. DJ music that runs through our house system. They do not bring in any extra speakers. It's our normal house system. All they do is hook up their laptop and kind of play off their Mac computer.
Okay, and did I've known you for quite some time to be a gentleman, and can you explain why Inspector Tudhope feels that you were not
You know,
cooperative?
I truly apologize that you feel as though I wasn't cooperative. When we met outside, you asked for the liquor license. We walked in. I grabbed a chair. I grabbed the liquor license as it's about 7.5, 8 feet on the wall. I grabbed that for you. At that time, you asked me to turn the music down inside, which I went to both of our bars where the dual sound control is and turned the music down to your satisfactory level, which was only one button per bar. So the volume level was not drastically reduced, but it was to your satisfactory. Where I believe there is I guess, a misunderstanding on my side is when you presented me with the letter to sign, I was not comfortable signing something that stated that our music could be heard 1 block away. At that time, I had said if we're going to sign this, I would like to go to that point, that destination, to hear the music, as I didn't agree that the music could be heard from our location. As prior weeks, we've walked other inspectors, sir, to Kelly's Court, where there are 4 24-inch speakers, 2 on the bar tops, 2 on the balcony, that face the Bond Street Wharf. And when it faces the Bond Street Wharf, that music then kicks off the building and goes back into the residential neighborhood, which is what I was trying to explain. The music was not coming from Bond Street Social. Our music is at the same level that it has been for 7 years, if not a little bit lower, as you know, it wasn't as busy of a night due to the rain. So again, I apologize you feel that way. My understanding was by signing the dotted line, I was not looking to admit guilt on something I didn't agree with. But when you explained to me that me signing the document was just stating that I received it, at that point I signed it.
Mr. Gerken, if you're ever driving down I-95 and you're in a really small county, make sure you sign your speeding ticket, otherwise you could end up being held in jail.
Lesson learned.
Okay. In any event, you admit that the one door was cracked and it shouldn't have been at that time.
That's correct.
But did you hear your music and hear Callie's music?
Callie's music vibrates throughout the entire block of Fells Point. And my point of stating that we're on the water side was not to say that we can play our music as loud as we'd want, was to illustrate that you would hear the music east-west, predominantly west, versus north, because that one door that was cracked open would have led to the west side of the building, which would have brought, you know, a complaint possibly from Caroline. But again, the point, the intersecting point, is Shakespeare and Bond, which is north, which leads you to believe that music is vibrating off the Bond Street Wharf building, ricocheting back from Callie's Court.
When you walked the back way from Bar Casino on Broadway over to Bond Street Social on Bond Street, could you hear Bond Street's music at a level where you were about to chew somebody out?
All you hear is Kelly's Court's music, or I'm sorry, Fells Point Tavern.
Could you hear, before you entered through the back door closer to the water, could you hear the Bond Street music?
No.
Okay. Could you hear the Bond Street music to any degree that was uncomfortable or disturbing to the neighbors if you went outside in the front of Bond Street when you met with Inspector Tudhope?
In my opinion, I would say no.
Okay. And you take this seriously as far as monitoring to not disturb other people, is that right?
At both of our locations, we do quite a bit to be not only a good neighbor, but bring things into the neighborhood in the way of charitable golf tournaments, you know, events that we do at both of our locations. So I would like to think that we are, you know, a restaurant that cares for the neighborhood that we're a part of.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. The commissioners have questions?
None.
No questions.
I just make a brief observation that, you know, Fells Point is a busy place, and if everybody down there has music, I don't know whether the problem is Callie's Court or whether the people need to get together and have some discussion about how much music should emanate from each of the establishments, but maybe the community association or Matt or somebody can help you all with that, because it seems like we're getting a lot of noise violations from the same area, which I think anybody would anticipate there's going to be some noise. The question is how much. So I don't know. Okay. So on the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received, I do find a violation of Rule 3.12 on October 27, 2019. I'm going to not find a violation of Rule 4.16. And I do believe that there is some overlay from the Callie's Court thing. So again, I would impose a nominal sanction of $150, and I'd give them 30 days to pay it.
I concur with the chair.
Find a violation of Rule 3.12 on October 27, 2019, and concur with the imposition of $150.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Investigation Report, Agent Tudhope. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Liquor Board Liquor License Complaint Printout.
Is that our docket, Mr. Page?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until Thursday, December the 5th, 2019, 11 a.m. We are adjourned.
The board wishes everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy your very small portions of alcohol with it.